Hey guys, this is the same motorcycle you saw me ride a couple episodes ago. Our Triumph Bobber Bonneville, brand new 2019. I think we put about 50 miles on it. Now that it's stripped down, you can really see what's behind this bike. How smart they were with things like the overflow tank. If you look down here at the details, you can see the overflow tank for the radiator. Man, like even the routing of this is quite good. The reservoir for the rear master cylinder, they hid it up underneath the cover. And then really, like I said some things about what I wanted to do to the bike last time we did this, some key elements and colors and wheels and a few other basic things. But also, I'd never seen one of these bikes apart, and so plans start to change and really form and cement once you get the bike down to at least a point that's the kind of the base level, meaning we don't think we want to go further apart than this. We did go a little bit further apart than this and then put a few things back together. I was considering getting rid of the factory airbox and putting in just some like cone filters or more vintage style pancake filters onto these really kick-ass looking throttle bodies that look like carburetors that are actually the fuel injection bits. Once you got this cover off, you can see this airbox is integrated with fuses, and this is your port for your OBD, which is the emissions computer systems. And where you got to go hide this. And then also the biggest key factor was the look of the bike is this, what I called earlier, the fake hardtail, would be kind of revealed. And I mean that the cover kind of helps take the eye away from the fact that there's a disconnect between these two elements. Whereas this is meant to look like a hardtail where there would be no rear suspension and no rear spring. If you got rid of the airbox, it would just make the spring and the linkages for the spring much more obvious, which isn't vintage style, right? It doesn't appeal visually. So we made the decision to change all that, to put the covers back on and just leave the airbox cover there. There's some benefits there. A, it takes less time, it's cheaper, but also the bike will run the way the factory intended for it to run because it won't then be breathing more, which would possibly require an ECU tune. Now, having said that, we may actually have to do an ECU tune anyway because we're, of course, getting rid of the exhaust. So we're down to the bare bits, and we can kind of walk you through some of this stuff. Everything's been very, very carefully removed and taped off. And one of the things I really wanted to do was the side covers. The reason we didn't buy the blacked bobber, people ask that, and it has like larger forks and twin discs on the front and a few other things. I don't like the idea of an all black bike. That's a more modern thing in my opinion, and our desire was to go more vintage. More vintage means either aluminum or polished aluminum or natural finishes, and that's definitely not black. So what we'll be doing is, you can see here we've got the triple clamps, the lower and the top that are black. They're aluminum, obviously cast aluminum. They're actually really nice pieces. They have good shape to them. So we're just gonna strip those down, probably polish them. You can see here, we took off the timing covers, what would cover ostensibly the gearbox. It's really just a cool looking cover. It looks like a gearbox, and the primary cover on the left side. And then the seat. This was the seat pan, so another cast aluminum piece. These are all really nice pieces that we found underneath here. We sandblasted these pieces and then realized, okay, we're gonna take the forks apart. We want the forks to be a similar finish. We want the top valve cover to be of a similar finish. We want the wheel hubs to be of a similar finish, and even this piece from the rear wheel, the cush drive. I think what we're gonna do is send it all out and have it polished. We've done plenty of polishing, aluminum polishing here. I personally have spent days sanding and polishing with some really, really bad equipment. And we have pretty good equipment for that stuff here now. But man, getting someone else who would probably do a better job, do it much quicker, who has a big, giant, dirty space, because it makes a giant mess when you use big cotton rotational wheels and the abrasives and all the breathing, and then it just makes a huge, huge mess. We don't like to do painting, and we don't like to do polishing. Everything else we'll do in-house. So anyway, I'm gonna send this stuff out. I'm gonna have someone else do it. I don't know what the bid is gonna be, but we're working on that. The other course, we've got the front wheel and the rear wheel. And you can see they're actually good wheels, but they're steel and they're black, and I want them to be a different finish. So we're probably just gonna sandblast these or buy new shouldered aluminum wheels and make them the aluminum color. Now all this stuff's kind of subtle, you might say. Like, this is a lot of trouble to go to, right? To make everything look aluminum. But I've yet to see a bobber running around, or even a new Bonneville running around with all this stuff looking more vintage. And so I think it'll make a pretty cool difference. Actually, I just realized we're gonna go ahead and take this kickstand off too, because it's cast aluminum and been painted. Anyway, The motorcycle itself, I mean, what's left of it as a motorcycle, will probably stay exactly the same. Now, we took the side covers off, we took the tank off, and a few other pieces, the fenders. And we've got some new fenders coming. I think we've decided, or almost certain, that we'll be putting a replacement fender that we bought that we'll be cutting and kind of shaping into something custom. And we'll use those. The gas tank will get a new color to match the side covers. Whether or not we'll just keep an aluminum fender or paint the fender is yet to be determined. But creatively speaking, you know, this is a simpler project for us, but one that I think will be pretty cool when it's done. And then, yeah, the other things are changing. Like there's a cool badge that had the Triumph that goes here. The Triumph badge that goes there. I think that might be a good place to do it. Like I'm calling it the Florian Flourish, which was René's departed husband. He just seemed like a really cool guy, and I want to pay homage to him. Also, he was French. We could pay homage. It's a French word, right? Anyway, so we're going to do a Florian Flourish there, I think, if René approves of it. But it's cool. It's really cool to take a full bike, brand new motorcycle, and strip it down and get to this point. I don't know about you guys, but every single time I've ever taken a motorcycle apart, or an engine apart for that matter, I think every single time it'll never run again. I'll never put it back together. It's done. It's over. Like, I'm just gonna have to buy another motorcycle. And I know that sounds stupid since we've now done hundreds of motorcycles. And you can even look around this room and there's a dozen motors on the shelves sitting here. We make them all run again. It's not that hard. One of the things about these dailies is we haven't, I don't think we've said enough to say, the point of this dailies are to share with you guys what we're doing and encourage you to try it for yourself. And then push past that moment that you get into where you think, it'll never run again. This is too complicated. There's too many pieces. This thing got put together from bare pieces at one point. It will be put together from bare pieces again, and it'll be no problem. And again, compared to pulling that entire motor down where you're gonna find hundreds of more parts that all have to be perfectly spaced and perfectly torqued and perfectly put together, this is easy. This is super, super simple stuff. It's just one step at a time. It's order of operations, and it's being careful. It's being as slow as you can. Anyway, stay tuned. There'll be more coming. That's it for this video. We'll do another update soon. I encourage you, at this point, if you've gotten this far, you're interested in this project, like, comment, and subscribe. If you just subscribe to our video channel, A, it will encourage us to do more of these videos and get more instructional and share more and teach you guys more. B, you'll get notifications. That'll let you know when there's more videos that have come out, when there's a new video on this thing. So on our channel page, go to our main channel page, click on that little bell, and you'll start getting notifications when our stuff comes up. Thanks, guys.